I'm very excited for our field trip to the zoo today, and I'm happy that the North Carolina Zoo makes these videos so that we can still feel like we're going to the zoo and seeing animals even when we're at home. And we're going to talk today about pollination and about something called head starting. And then when we're all done, you'll have some ideas of what to do this weekend, where you might get to plant seeds or you might get to make a craft. Things like that. And the craft will even help take care of the earth, because we recently had a holiday. It was Monday. Anybody know which holiday?
Earth Day.
Earth Day, yeah.
Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Monday? I really thought Monday. You're right.
I know that because my brother's birthday is on Earth Day.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Happy birthday to your brother.
Okay.
So let me start out with a video that will show you guys something we will learn about on our field trip called the seed pod. And this video has like no audio. It's just got words on the screen. So Rachel, I was wondering if while we watch this short video, you would read the words that pop on the screen.
Okay. Out loud. Good at reading.
Yes, out loud. Does that sound okay, Dash?
Yep.
Alrighty. So this is a video that teaches us about seed pods.
Tune in, watch this really cool video about pollination pods, brought to you by the North Carolina Zoo. Thanks, guys.
Ready, Dash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is where you would read this part.
Get down to earth. Start with 5 cups compost, topsoil, or potting soil. Add 2 to 3 cups clay soil or craft clay. Mix it up. Break up any chunks. Add flower seeds. Slowly mix in water. Until you can form a pod. We're ready to plant. Practice 7 days. The yard? No problem. Place our pod. Earth Day, North Carolina Zoo.
Thank you, Dash. All right. Now, if you have pencil and paper, also hi, Owen, who joined us. This is where you can use it to take notes as we learn a little bit more about pollination. Can everyone say pollination?
Pollination.
Awesome. And if you raise your hand, I'll let you pick our dance break for your question. My question would be, why is taking notes a smart idea when we're learning? How could that help us?
So,
I'll choose Dashel.
because it'll help us remember what we learned, and so that way we can know and we can go back on it and remember.
Exactly. Helps you not to fall asleep and say, what happened? What number would you like?
10.
All right, number 10. You got a star and the owl dance. Love it. So here is a little video that will teach us a bit about pollination. And welcome to my friends who are just coming in.
And pollen is
You know what? I should probably mute us just for this little part. Really quick.
fine powder. It's usually yellow, and it can make you sneeze, just like me earlier. Flowers
Oh my, let me fix the settings, everybody. Did you know you can change YouTube settings to change the speed of the video? Here we go, that's a little.
use pollen to make seeds through a process called pollination.
All right, pollination. You can write that word down in your notes. Pollination.
Okay, do you see these yellow feathery parts of the flower? This is the male part of the flower called the stamen, and that is where the pollen is made. Now this middle pink part of the flower is called the pistil, which is the female part of the flower. This is where the pollen needs to go so the flower can make seeds. Looking at this flower, do you think the yellow parts are the stamen or the pistil?
Stamen.
Stamen, yes, great job.
That's right, that's the stamen. The stamen is the male part of the flower. That's the part that makes pollen. Now here's a different flower. Do you think this purple part in the middle is the stamen or the pistil?
Pistil.
Yes,
Pistil.
oh, great job.
Very good, that's the pistil. The pistil is the female part of the flower where the pollen needs to go so that the flower can make seeds. When pollen is moved from the stamen to the pistil, it is called pollination. There are flowers that have both a stamen and a pistil, but there are some flowers that have only a pistil, and there are other flowers that have only a stamen.
That's interesting.
Pollen can't move by itself, so how will it get to the pistil?
Any ideas?
The
I
wind.
like it.
Bees.
Yes, I love it.
With the help of pollinators.
Pollinators. You could write that word down in your notes. Pollinators. So it has the word pollen inside it, but we spell it with an I. Pollinators.
Do you recognize this well-known pollinator? Very good, that's a honeybee. Honeybees are pollinators, and you can see the yellowy orange pollen on his leg right here.
All right. We will take a small break from this video, and I would like to see your notes. Hold them up to the screen. What were you able to write down? And I might pick one of you to choose a dance break. Pollination, pistil, pollinators. Great, Andrea. Hi, Jackson. We're just taking notes as we learn about pollination so that new flowers get to grow.
I didn't write it all down.
That's okay. No one gets to write everything. Nobody's perfect. Yes, Layla.
I can't see the screen that you put on the thing. I can only see.
Hey.
my face.
Okay, they see it now. Good.
No.
I'm not sure how to help. I see you're on an iPad. I don't know if you try a different device, a phone.
Move it. I should.
Andrea, why don't you pick a number for us?
How about 4?
Okay, 4. You found the star and the hamster dance. Very good. I will need some volunteers to read for us, but actually I'll have you all volunteer because there's this one phrase in the book and it keeps repeating again and again, buzzy, buzzy bee. So anytime we need to say that phrase, you can all join in and shout it out, buzzy, buzzy bee. Capiche?
Oh.
Here is our book, Buzzy, Buzzy Bee. I'll go right to the beginning. Buzzy, Buzzy Bee.
Buzzy.
It's a morning filled with sun. Let me try that again. I'll follow you and have some fun. The beehive is your busy home, making honey in a honeycomb. You leave your hive and it's a race. Nectar and pollen are all over the place. Your fuzzy hair will do the trick. It will make the pollen stick. Carrying pollen from flower to flower gives the plants more growing power. Nice job. I ride, you fly, we're up and over. To your favorite field of clover. You sip nectar from each blossom. To honeybees, that treat is awesome. Zip, zip, you zoom back to your home to make more honey in your honeycomb. And that's a treat for me. Great reading, guys. I will pick Jackson for our next number. What would you like? Number 7? All right. You got the dancing ape. And he's got, in my opinion, one of the funnest dances because I'm like, woo! Great dancing, everybody. And welcome to anybody who just came in. We have just a tiny bit left of that video that we're taking notes on and our field trip. So pencils and paper, please.
Yes.
We will learn not only are bees pollinators, but there are some other pollinators out there too.
Like normal bees.
Pollinators are pollen helpers by moving the pollen to the pistil so the flower can make seeds. Let's look at some other pollinators. Do you know what this pollinator is called?
Butterfly.
And doesn't that particular butterfly look familiar, especially for me?
It's a monarch.
A painted
monarch.
It's a painted lady butterfly, which is the kind that me and Hadley were growing in our kits.
That's right, this is a butterfly. And this one is called a painted lady butterfly. Butterflies are pollinators. What kind of animal is this? That's right, that's a bat. This is a flying fox, which is a fruit bat. And fruit bats are pollinators too. What's this little guy called? Great job, this is a hummingbird. It's a ruby-throated hummingbird. And hummingbirds are also pollinators. Other pollinators include wasps and moths. Ants and beetles like this ladybug are pollinators too. These other pollinators are very well known. They are bumblebees and honeybees. All right, let's review what we've learned today. What is the fine yellow powder on this bee called?
Mommy.
That's right, pollen. Pollen is a fine yellow powder. This yellow part of the flower makes pollen. Do you remember what it's called? That's right. That's the stamen.
Pistil.
Stamen
Stamen.
is the male part of the flower.
Male.
That's the
which
part
means
that
boy.
makes pollen. Why do flowers use pollen? Great job! Flowers use pollen to make seeds.
Make seeds.
This purple part of the flower is where the pollen needs to go so the flower
The
can...
pistil, the female part.
You can guess what it's called?
Pistil.
That's the pistil. The pistil is the female part of the flower where the pollen needs to go so that the flower can make seeds.
Great job, everybody. Hold up to the screen your notes. Did anyone get a chance to write down one of the animals that are pollinators? I see.
I wrote down most of them.
Hi, Gigi.
The new things I wrote are fruit bats, also pollinators.
Awesome.
Bees.
Ashley, can you?
Butterfly.
That's all I wrote this time.
Awesome.
I wrote-
Butterfly.
Fruit
I wrote
bats,
down
Butterfly, hummingbird, wasps, ants, and bees.
Great job.
bees, wasps,
Now I muted you all just because we were all shouting at once. Ashley, can you tell me an animal that is a pollinator that's not a bee? You can unmute yourself.
a moth, and a butterfly.
It's so interesting. I never really would have thought about moths as pollinators, even though I always think about bees and butterflies.
And I did not know that a bat was a pollinator.
I know, but it does make sense. If a fruit bat eats fruit and there's seeds in the fruit, well then they can help the spread so more seeds can grow. All right, put your hands in the air if you are ready for our field trip.
Of course I am.
So excited. Now our field trip is the North Carolina Zoo. And the best news is that you can take field trips many times because on the North Carolina Zoo Facebook page, they've got lots of cool videos and they make new ones every Monday and Wednesday and Friday. So if you are awake at 9 o'clock in the morning on those days, you can watch these trips live. And if you're not awake at that time, that's okay. You can watch them later. So during our field trip, you can even take notes or draw pictures so that we can talk together about what we learned. So here we go. All right.
How are we doing today? It's so good to see you again. I missed you guys on Monday. If you haven't recognized, some really cool things are going on this week. A little bit different than we've done in the past. My name is Steve, and we welcome you to the Zoo's Education. We're so happy to have you guys here today. Before you started, I'm a little underdressed. Check this out. Wait, I'm not done yet. Ready? Come here. Come here. Do, 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 do. Guess what it is? It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. That's why on Monday, they made those really cool seed pod, pollination pods. I hope you guys made some. I made one, and I'm going to put mine out in a little bit. Today, we're talking about gopher frogs, and today is Earth Day. It's actually the day.
All right, so today is not actually Earth Day, but this video was on Wednesday Live, and today we're watching it. But I do have a question. Does anyone know what anniversary means? Alice?
When it got started.
Long ago,
When it
something
started.
started. Mm-hmm. And if you know Spanish, what are años?
onions,
What años are?
anniversary.
Años means years. Anniversary are years that we celebrate something. We've been celebrating Earth Day for how many years? 50.
Really cool. Little- No? All right. Well, you know what it is. It is Earth Day. We want to make sure you guys are knowing Earth Day came about 50 years ago. And it's all about action. They're trying to get people, you and me, interested and aware of what's going on in the environment today. So it's really that's important for all of us to be aware of. Anything we can do, right, to help our Mother Earth is good for all of us. It's for the planet itself. And that's why it's called, for the AZA, the American Zoological Association, and all of the zoos associated with it, is that wonderful party for the planet. And I did make one of those seed pods, one of those pollination pods. I hope you did too. And remember at the end, you're supposed to pitch it. That's what's on the video. Pitch it out. Ready? I have one.
I gotta get back.
I got one. Ready? Here we go. I love this. Ready? I'm ready. You ready?
Okay. Oh, Steve,
That was a strike.
I think pitch was like, you know, a descripting word. I don't think you had to pitch it. Like, I know you were in the College World Series in like 1948.
No. 1986, when we won it all, thank you.
I think a better way for kids to do is maybe a nice toss into the yard.
Or kind of. Like
there
that.
you go. Yeah. It's safer that way.
Sorry, guys. All right, so got a little carried away there with the pitch. I saw the word pitch. I had to pitch. Anyway, come on over here. One of the things I'm going to do is talk to you today about frogs, and the gopher frog in particular, which is really an important animal. The North Carolina Zoo is very active in conserving the gopher frog. And in conserving it, for saving it in the wild, we have a really, really cool program. It's called Head Starting. And you might have kind of caught that earlier where we had to head start. I've got to have a head start to win a race. I'm not winning any races these days. But for the gopher frogs, and for a couple other animals, but the gopher frog primarily here at the North Carolina Zoo, is an animal that we're head starting. Giving it an advantage. Putting it ahead of something else. Check this out. I have some pictures, and I do have a gopher frog to share with you in a little bit. But I wanted to show you this, and I'll show you what the adult frogs look like. Check that out. So our team, Dustin Smith, Chris Shuff, Audrey Williams, a lot of other folks, go out and they collect parts of egg masses from the sand hills of North Carolina. Not the entire egg mass. You don't want to take everything. So they take some of that egg mass, and these are gopher frog eggs. They bring them back to the zoo. That's the head start. In the wild, only about 5% of eggs make it to adulthood. So if that's 100, that might be around 100 eggs. Only 5 become adults.
My question is, what does head starting mean?
It's like the first thing that
like where they start.
Give them a start?
my phone fell.
What kind of eggs are these?
Gopher frog.
Gopher frogs. In the wild, do a little bit of the eggs survive or a lot?
A little bit.
A little bit. Bringing them into the zoo is a head start. We can help more of them survive.
At the zoo, we're able to head start them. Give them a head start. So the tadpoles, these are gopher frog tadpoles, are raised at the zoo. They're grown up here at the zoo in a very safe location. So those are the tadpoles, and that's the location that they grow up in. I moved things on Wendy.
It's upside down.
It's upside down. Can't let you see the other picture yet.
We do let them live right side up at the zoo. There we go.
So there you go. So in these, those are called, fancy science word, those are mesocosms. So Miss Willems' class in Pensacola, Florida, looks like O.J. Sims or Semis, I don't know how to pronounce it. We are so excited you guys tuned in. So having this happen, these mesocosms, which are habitats at the zoo, lets the tadpoles grow up safely. So we're able to put the tadpoles, you put the eggs in here, they grow up into tadpoles. Then they become these little almost metamorphs, almost these changes in the animal. So now you begin to see the frogs going through their metamorphosis. There's it's a science word for you. Frogs going through their metamorphosis. They grow those legs. They still have the tail, but the tail's being absorbed, being taken back up into the body. So through this metamorphosis from egg, tadpole to froglet, you begin to see this wonderful change. All of this happening in those mesocosms, in those safe environments for the eggs to grow up in. We have a question. Yeah, Wendy, what you got?
We had a good question, I think, from James. James was asking, he's been to the zoo, but he's never seen the mesocosms. Where are they?
Great question. They're not on a place, not somewhere you can see them, because we're trying to make it a very secure, safe environment. So they're in an off-habitat space at the zoo. We're able to control everything about it that way. So that's one thing. Now you can see during the right season and when we're open, you can see adult gopher frogs in our cypress swamp habitat. You can.
Can anyone raise their hand to tell us what metamorphosis means? Hi, Alondra. I will choose. Many hands, that's good. What metamorphosis means? How about
I'm not paying attention, Layla.
What? You froze up.
You don't learn that.
what metamorphosis means?
Metamorphosis means like change.
Yeah, it does mean change. And Jackson, what animal are we going to learn about at the zoo and it goes through a change?
What goes through a change? What animal goes through a change?
Talking about it in our church today. It's called a gopher. Frog, yeah. And Dashel, do you know the life stages of a frog, starting from eggs?
Yeah, they would go from an egg to a tadpole to an adult, then they would mate, and then they would have more eggs, and they would hatch, starting the cycle.
And from tadpole to adult, you can even call that middle stage a froglet when it's still absorbing its tail. Great job, guys.
I can draw it if you want me to.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind erasing it after you draw it.
You can see them down there, but for the other ones, you can't. So we've gone from this, right? They grow up into froglets, into small frogs. And then check this out. This is an adult frog with a transmitter. We actually we radio track some of the frogs. So this is an adult gopher frog that's been released into the sand hills, those longleaf pine forests of North Carolina. So that's an adult with that transmitter. And you're going to see these guys are not very big. So this transmitter belt is not very big. So, but they're doing this to track where the animals are going. Got a question?
Why do only 5% grow up?
Let's think about that. If I'm an egg, why do only 5% grow up? If I'm an egg, do I have any defenses? Maybe mom was able to kind of hide me in my egg mass. I don't have any defenses. I'm defenseless against predators, even against a drought, something like that. So as you get older, as a frog gets older, even as a tadpole, not a whole lot of defenses. It's not until you become that adult that I can maybe get away. I can camouflage. Oops, sorry about that. I can camouflage and hide. So where do we do this? We have this going on, growing them up and releasing them. Here's an image of Chris Shupp. Chris is one of our animal management supervisors here. Animal management supervisors. I got to slow down every once in a while. And he's releasing some of the frogs. We release the frogs, the froglets, back where they were found. Right? We don't want to just go put them somewhere randomly. We put them back where the egg mass was collected from. So that's Chris. And here's a nice image of Dustin. Dustin Smith is our curator of herpetology and a lot of other things here at the zoo. He's releasing a frog in those sandhills environments. over 800 have been released already. That's such an exciting thing to know that that's your North Carolina Zoo doing something in the natural habitat, right? That's where the eggs are. So we're going to the natural space. We're able to collect a percentage, a portion of those eggs, bring them back to the zoo, raise them up, head start them, give them a head start to survival at the zoo in that very safe spot in those mesocosms till they're froglets, till they're ready to be released, and then take them back and release them where they were collected to maintain that population. And we're going to talk about why this is important in a little bit. So the zoo has already done over 8.
Okay, Alice, you raised your hand. Do you have a question?
No. I was just testing it.
Oh, no problem. So if you are drawing on the screen like tic-tac-toe, that might distract us. But like Nashville, he asked me if he could draw something on the screen, and I said yes. So if you would like
No, I meant just like draw this.
Yep, no problem. So you didn't do anything wrong, Dash. I'm just saying for the whole class, if you're trying to help us learn drawing something on the screen that will help us, then just send me a message in the chat box and I would be happy to let you do that for us.
100 froglets being released back in the sandhills of North Carolina.
We're going to see
Thank you
the
guys very much, Chris,
the real
Dustin, Audrey, and a lot of our partners as well. You can find out some of the information on the zoo's website. You can look for that project and other projects like it, nczoo.org, and see some of the conservation efforts that are going on. All right, you guys want to see the frog? It's kind of cool. You guys want to see the frogs? Ah! Here we go. Oh, yes. So apparently somebody said yes, because at least Wendy nodded yes. I think that was a nod, yes. Before I get started, we do have people answering your questions as always. Today, I believe it's Kathy, Rich, and maybe Beth.
And
so
Bob.
Thank you guys.
Bob
oh, and
too.
Bob's on there too. So thank you guys very much. Kathy, we are at your favorite place, Kid Zone. Now, I'm not bringing the animals out. Can you get a pretty good shot, Wendy?
Yeah.
Because of COVID-19, we're trying not to get too much handling of our animals. We don't know if they can be transmitted. We know it was in the one tiger, but we don't want to take any chances. So we're going to keep them in this habitat box. But you can see we have the two. And you can see how little they are. How small are they? I'll put my finger up here so you guys can see. They're not very big. And remember, they're wearing that transmitter belt? That's so cool. You tell me what you need me to do, Wendy, and I will do it. Or you can just move.
They're just stay there.
Alrighty.
They're
So the habitat we mentioned in the wild, in their natural space, the pine hills, the longleaf pine forests, typically associated with water, as you might imagine. They are a frog species, different from a toad. They are a frog. They have those long jumping legs. Toad's legs are a little bit smaller, a little bit stronger, more for hopping or walking. You guys know what they eat. What do frogs eat? I got a question to follow up with that too. Frogs eat berries? No. Leaves? No. Nuts? No. These are meat, or these guys are eating insects and bugs and grubs. Does that make them carnivores? Are insects and bugs carnivores? They are meat, right? So yeah, they're a meat eater. I think people forget that bugs and earthworms and things like that are meat.
Okay, can you say something? See the video? Like, Andrea, can you see the video when I press play?
How about yes?
Yeah.
Leila, you said you were having a problem seeing it, but can everybody see the video?
No.
Yeah.
I have a problem with my camera.
If you have a problem, please message me in the chat box and I'll see if I can help.
For me,
That eat those things are carnivores. I think it's kind of cool. The Carolina gopher
That
frog
would be a good note to
is a
take.
threatened species in North Carolina. There's not very many. That's one of the main reasons that the zoo is active in saving these guys in their natural spaces. It's a threatened species. What's threatening them? Well, same thing as threatening a lot of animals, and I'm sure you guys, if you thought about it for heartbeats, you could think about it. Habitat loss, so they are losing that longleaf pine habitat. They're losing that aquatic, that water space. That's where the breeding is going on. Or the habitat just breaking down. And believe it or not, when we control or suppress or reduce fire in their habitat, they actually need fire to survive. What? No, wait. This is a frog. How does it rely on fire? Why would a frog depend on fire? Well, remember, they're found in those longleaf pine habitats. Any water that's available becomes a breeding site. If that water gets taken up by huge trees, big trees, if the water is shaded out and can't stay in ponds or puddles, pools, these guys have nowhere left to breed. So fire comes through, reduces the plant cover, reduces that hardwood cover that's out there, allowing those ponds, those pools to exist for these guys and a lot of other animals to survive. So fire, for many animals, is vital for survival because it's providing or creating habitat. How strange that fire is a good thing.
All right, question. You may shout out yes or no. Do trees need water?
Yes.
What part of the tree sucks up the water?
The root.
Do trees take a little or a lot of water?
Lot.
A lot. And that leaves only a little bit of water left for those frogs who need water to have their babies. So raising your hand,
I don't
how
have
can
all
a
this stuff to
fire
do.
help frogs
and
have babies?
If I did, that'd be
safely?
awesome.
Well, it burns down a lot of the tree cover.
Okay, and so when there's less trees, what
Whose
is
sandwich is
helpful
that?
about that?
Well, that means
Oh,
the
there
trees
we
are
blue
sucking
mold.
up water, meaning that they have more water to use for mating.
I'll try just this one time if
I wouldn't eat that though because it has paint.
take a quick dance break, guys. Dashiell will choose a number for us.
8.
8. You got a star and the pig dance. You get to walk up and down.
Oh my god, she's gonna give her a fake. Right.
I won piggy.
And hopefully when I share the screen, it will make it so that Layla and Valerie can see, because sometimes all we need to do is like start the share again and it'll work better. So hopefully this will work better.
I think it's cool. They live in,
That's my face. Hi, everyone.
hey, that's Wendy. Everybody say hi to Wendy. Hey, Wendy. Now you know what Wendy looks like.
Big fingers, little camera.
Gotta love live. Gotta love it. So the Carolina gopher frog, they hang out in North Carolina. They're found in other places too, especially south of us. But in North Carolina, they'll hang out in tree stumps. So broken down tree stumps in those pine forests, those longleaf pine forests make.
I had a feeling that was gonna happen. All right, I'm gonna unmute you guys real quick here. And raise your hand if you have a fun fact that you would like to share that you learned so far in our trip. Hadley, go ahead.
I learned that gopher frogs need fire to survive, and that only 5% of 100 eggs survive.
Yeah, only 5% of those eggs survive. That's pretty neat. For sure. All right, last time I will share the screen with